Hi everyone, welcome to Redhead Rumble. Today we're going to be going on about fucking what? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome again to Redhead Rumble, the YouTube channel that brings you honest and fair opinions, no biases held on the world of boxing and in the future MMA. If you don't know, get to know, like, follow and subscribe. Now that's out of the way, we're going to be talking today about the 5 main things that the new alliance between Turki Al-Sheikh and the TKO group, WWE and UFC combined, that will shake up the boxing world tenfold. So let's get straight into it. So number 1 is funding. As of February this year, the TKO group are roughly estimated to be worth a potential $25 billion. Do you know what that kind of money does with Turki Al-Sheikh's money from the Crown Prince and seller? What kind of result are we going to get by conjoining those two consortiums together? The answer's simple. We're going to get everything we've ever wanted as boxing fans. The TKO group stock has risen hundreds and maybe 200 times more than what it was originally valued at, thanks to the success of the UFC to WWE. Having said that though, Turki Al-Sheikh has unlimited resource. The Crown Prince has Vision 2030. We're talking he wants to have a Saudi footprint in every single sport by the year 2030. He wants to put them on a map. So we know the money's there. But what does that actually mean, and why is it going to shape up? Shake, Jack, shake! So, what does this mean, and why is it going to impact and shake up the boxing world? How's about this for a start? Canelo versus Crawford in September. Yeah, it's going to be a Riyadh season, but you know they're going to use it as part of this new alliance. You know they're going to push something down your throat with it. They're going to reveal more as we get to the fight week, to the press conference, etc., etc. That ultimately is an example of the fact that super fights are going to happen. We've seen it happen over the last 2 years, maybe even going on 3 years, where Riyadh Seasons got involved, decided that they're going to make a shitload of mint fights, mega fights, fights we'd never even thought we'd ever see. They have their hand well and truly in every single pie there is to make sure that boxing fans in Saudi Arabia grow as the world's biggest sport. You have to realise that with the amount of money and resource that obviously the funding for this promotion is going to have, they're going to be marketed all over the world. You have premium promotions in every sub-sport that these guys do. So for instance, TKO, they own UFC, which is mixed martial arts, premium promotion. Nothing comes close to it. PFL can try, but it will never get there because they've just been at it too long, they're too good at it, and yeah, that's kind of that. Whereas they also own WWE. Now, you can tell AEW, you can tell TNA, New Japan, you can tell all these pro wrestling outfits that are massive in their own right and in their own territories, but WWE shits on them all. WWE has hit every market there is. Look at the footprint. Look at what they're doing as a business. We all know who Roman Reigns is, and we don't even follow wrestling. With this kind of money, which mixes into another point, you're also going to see fights take place in places we've never seen before, such as Times Square, Alcatraz. We can't say that this is normal. This has never been normal. Big fights happen at MGM in Vegas in America. Big fights happen over here at Wembley. Alcatraz. It's a deserted prison on an island. And we're throwing a boxing event there. And as I mentioned before, this all supports Vision 2030. What that actually is that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia devoted spending billions of dollars, pounds, euros, whatever you want. He's spending billions to not only improve the economy of Saudi Arabia, but he's also trying to modernise their culture and their society, because regardless of what we think of them and the national anthem and everything else, they do have a past, like everybody does, but this guy's trying to change it. Which brings us on to the second point. This is going to put pressure on all the other promoters and governing bodies. So we'll set the stall. DAZN recently bought the TV rights for Queensberry. They've had them for Matchroom a while. Golden Boy they've had for a while as well. They've been picking up different promotional companies for TV rights over the last few years. Trying to make it the one place that boxing fans can subscribe and watch boxing. Whatever's on, it's on. They've got Misfits as well. Not that I agree with any of that, but yeah, they want to be your one-stop shop for boxing. Interestingly enough though, side point, a minority stake of 10% was purchased by the Surge Sports Investment Group. Where does Surge come from, you may ask me? Well, Jack's going to tell you. They come from Saudi Arabia as well. Owned by the Crown Prince, linked in to Vision 2030. So that begs the question, on DAZN, will we see the new league on DAZN, or will it be combating with its own TV channel? Basically, buying a minority stake, so we make a lot of your revenue, we take a bit of revenue off you, or am I learning all I can right now to be able to use that into my own league, into my own shit, basically? This also begs the question, because Turkey has picked Dana to help him crack North America, basically, in Canada, and the world, is he going to shun all the other promoters off when it comes to Riyadh season? So with the idea of the league, are we going to see huge fights as the main event, with an undercard that's basically young fighters up and coming that are in part of this league? Is Riyadh season still going to, collaborate with Matchroom, Golden Boy, PBC? Are they still going to collaborate to try and get, big fights on? Or will it solely be fighter-only deals, so they'll make a deal with the fighter, which makes no sense for the promoter to be there, basically making them surplus to requirements? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Number 3, the format. So we're looking at this. When the news came out and it broke out, we were all surprised, shocked, stunned. I bet Ben Shalom, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn were all like, whoa, that came from left field. Didn't expect to see that. The third reason that this is going to shake up the boxing world, fraternity, community, however you want to say it, is the format. So this alliance, at the press conference, we found out that it's going to be a league, as I'd mentioned in point 2. Which means no organisations bar the Ring magazine, owned by Turki Al-Sheikh and Seller, and their own exclusive belt, i.e. UFC belt, which leads you to think about rankings. I'm talking about the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, the WBO. They're all banned from this one league. They want nothing to do with them. Fuck your sanctioning fees. See you later to your 3%. We're not asked if you want to make up your own little belt. Do one. There's 17 weight classes. We don't want that shit in this sport. We don't need interim. We don't need international. We don't need Europe. We don't need intercontinental, silvers, bronzes. We don't need that shit in this sport. We want to know who's the best, and we know who's not. With that, this means that more fighters will be enticed to secure their spot in these rankings. The ring belt's been it's over 120 years old. It's prestigious. It's the most prestigious of them all. That is the belt that you decide the best fighter is. That's who you declare it as if they've got the Ring magazine belt. Little did I mention, sanctioning fees. You don't have to pay them. They're paying you to fight, that's it. There's no transaction. I don't have to pay to be your champion. That is the biggest load of shit I've ever seen. I do think, though, it's also going to shape up contract situations, and the format is going to kill the 3-fight deal, the 5-fight deal. If you're in, you're in. If you're out, see ya. We're not having you sit at fourth, not happy anymore, do one. You're retiring, you're locked in. That's got to be how it is. That has got to be how it is. Unless you sign a 10-fight deal at the start. My personal opinion on the format, though, and let me know if you agree. Primarily, largely, I think this is going to be filled with younger fighters in these leagues, especially your 10 to your 20th in the rankings. You do need big names to kick off anything. However, like I mentioned in the previous points, I do see a big fight possibly holding up above with a card that has the league down below. But then how do you keep your main guys happy? Especially if you're your world champion. You don't want to be on the undercard. Let me know what you think though. Number 4, timings, shows, venues. We've kicked off talking about this for a while. We've spoken about this briefly in point number 2, but I will elaborate on it now. Dana White is a master of the American market. Cage fighting wasn't big. You've seen it. We've all seen the documentaries. We've seen everything else. They've built it up from fuck all to up high. How have they done that? Because they know what the fuck they're doing. Excuse my French in this video, by the way. Another question that this does throw up, though. Are we going to keep shows to an Eastern and Western Pacific time zone? Are we going to be friendlier to the Americans rather than the world? The European market has Grand Meridian, GMT, time zones everywhere. In Europe, we're all pretty much a few hours ahead of each other, a few hours behind each other. So will the league look to suit Europe as it also has good links with Saudi, i.e. 9:30 over here is 11:30 over in Saudi, or there's something like that, because Saudi PPVs and English always do well in England on broadcasters, so clearly the time zone doesn't matter. And then one of the final things I'd say on this is they know how to put a show on. They can put a show on anywhere. UFC have proved it. WWE have proved it. WWE have done stadiums. UFC, because it's more Dana White that's involved in this. Nick Khan is involved from WWE, I must add that. But he's very much the business side, whereas Dana White's there. I'm going to ram it down every single one of my followers' throats that this is happening this weekend. They did the Sphere at Vegas. No one said they could do it, but they did it, and it was class. They've done Dubai on an island. They did the thing on the island fighting, when Darren Till fought Whitaker. Seller going to Alcatraz, Times Square, and you know they're just going to get even worse. Like, they're talking about Stonehenge. I mean, it's going to be windy, but who wouldn't want to see a fight in Stonehenge? Personal opinion on it all, I think they could run all time zones. I don't think it matters. The funding, as I mentioned in the first point, is stupid. They can do whatever the hell they want and no people are going to be drawn to it. As well as making that point, though, they've got the money to attract the casual. Whereas Eddie Hearn and British promoters, primarily, Golden Boy probably related as well, they can't attract the casual unless it's two massive names. These guys have the money to make sure that every time you open your Twitter feed or your Facebook feed, you see these guys and posters and think, oh, I might watch that. Casual. They have the money to draw the casuals. Why do you think UFC hits gate after gate after gate? Why do you think WWE, when WrestleMania season comes around, people book off a day after work when they don't even watch wrestling because they don't want to miss it? It's like the Super Bowl and the NFL. These guys know what they're doing with these shows. Which brings me to the final point, number 5, the fans. Look how, example again, UFC and WWE have controlled social media for easily the past 15 years. 100%, probably more than that. In fact, 2025, probably 20 years, they've dominated social media. On Instagram and YouTube alone, between UFC and WWE, they have 207 million subscribers, followers. That's just those two accounts. Remember, they've got Europe, they've got Asia, they've got all these different accounts as well. They know how to attract the masses through their phones to their content. What makes you think this boxing league isn't going to be driven the same way? With this mass amount of people tuning in more to the sport, It's brilliant for the sport, might I add, but it also, again, attracts casuals. More people that follow means more eyeballs. Facts. And if you're a fighter that's up and coming and they're thinking about bringing you into one of the weight classes, you're thinking, my profile is going to be fucking huge. We're going to go off to space if I get on this ship. So, for example, who does this bring to the game? Who does this make you think, oh, I might have a bit of that? My first two things were Jesse Bam Rodriguez. I know he's signed with Matchroom. Bam Rodriguez, I thought would be a shoo-in. And Caballel for the heavyweights. You're an interim WBC champion. Why the hell not? What have you got to lose? Interim. Usyk's the man. We don't give a shit about interim champions. Usyk is the dog, mate. The dog's bollocks. That's who he is. He's the champ. He's the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, man. I'm glad I got that out. To conclude, my friends, this is only good for the sport. You've seen interviews from Eddie and Frank Warren, and we've heard nothing from Ben Shalom. Sky Sports are worried. They're up for the challenge to go against Dana. They're up for the challenge against Dana. They know what it's going to come down to. They know how the North American market works as well, or briefly. At least Eddie does, and it didn't really go that well because the Zone moved an office apparently. But hey ho, Lou DiBella, scratch that. So just to highlight, again, the 5 points, just drill them home because these are really going to shake things up over the next 3 to 5 to maybe 7 years. You're talking funding, pressure on the other promoters to pick the game up, to stop doing it for them and more for the fighters. We're talking format. It's a fucking league, mate. It's a league. It's completely different to anything we've ever seen before. Fuck your rankings of your different belts and different organisations. No one gives a shit, mate. The IBF ain't worth piss. Ask Tyson Fury. What did he do after the Klitschko fight? You tell me. The timing, the venues. We're talking Madison Square Garden. Alcatraz. They're going to go to the Antarctic. What are they thinking of doing? With the be-all and end-all, more people following, more fans, more people supporting what they're doing, more people willing to pay £30 a pay-per-view. We're not arsed. We just want to see it. Oh, God. I am so hot and bothered after filming this video. However, if you have enjoyed this, if you enjoy the content we're putting out at the moment, please be sure to like this video, like the other videos, subscribe to the channel. We're trying. Let me know down below if we're doing anything wrong. Just throw us a comment. Click your bell if you want to. I'll give you a clue. It's every 3 days. Just let me know. With all that being said, obviously, take it with a pinch of salt. It is just a joke. However, please be sure to tune into the next video. I enjoy making them. I hope you enjoy watching them, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.